Hey y'all, it's Anna V, and you, my friend, are listening to the All American Wing Shooting Podcast. I am a hunter, conservationist, mom of 2 girls I have raised in the outdoors, and a proud owner of a truck full of dogs. My passion is guiding you to confidence, sharing in tradition, and celebrating the true meaning of success in the field. Here we go. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of All American Wing Shooting Podcast. Today is going to be so exciting just because of the pregame. Andrew and I have been in such deep conversation before I had to pause him and say, the world needs to hear this. So welcome Andrew Lee, one of our most cherished artists of the South.
Thank you for having me. That's quite a compliment too. I appreciate it.
Well, we've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how when I message you, I feel almost like I'm just talking to my brother. And I don't have a brother, but I'm like, if I ever did, he would be like Andrew. Like, he just gets girl life. He's emotionally connected to things. And maybe it's because of our love for art. I went to art school, and we were just talking about the recession that happened in 08 and 09. And that's what flung me into the outdoor industry, was I can't draw like you. I feel that I got through my BFA by the skin of my teeth because I was all focused on architecture. And I did study in Italy, and I was supposed to draw the still lifes and all the things. I was like, where's my box of big crayons?
Yeah. Well, they should let you choose the medium you want to. I mean, they got to train you, but I always thought that, I always think, why didn't they say like, hey, what do you love? What do you want to try? Right. And actually I've talked about doing some lessons with people, maybe this summer, and do that very thing for that reason. So they're like, maybe you would have discovered some with crayons you never would have otherwise.
Okay, so my opinion about artistry, going through school at a prep women's college, it was just like breeding liberal mindset, and I was in complete rebellion the entire time.
Yeah, just hearing that alone just makes me laugh. The thought of you sitting there and
it was crazy. But it's one of those skills I feel like is very similar to music. Either you're born with a gift. I mean, you can learn to do things that I don't think that you can actually be very competitive with people that were just born with that kind of vision.
Okay, you know what? I always tell people I can teach anybody to draw. It's a matter of seeing things and it's a matter of practice. But when you pull up the music analogy, you're onto something.
Yeah.
I mean, because if I put myself in the shoes of, I've always wanted to be a musician, like a really talented musician on the side, and there's just certain things that just don't come. So, okay, so I'll grant that. I try to tell people all the time, I can teach you to draw, I can teach you, but you're right, maybe up to a certain level, right? But that's in anything.
Yeah, but with me, with construction and interior design, it's like I go to a raw piece of land. I see how it should be graded. I see the finished house. I can walk in the house. I can see every finish. So I literally design from finished backwards. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why interior designers get such a bad rep with contractors, because the contractors got the know-how, but they might not be able to visually see and feel the space of, what they've promised. Like, the designer may have promised this to the client, right? And they're like, we have to fulfill this, which you do, custom work for people. It's like,
I do, yeah.
That's a big pressure because you, invest 20 to 40, 100 hours?
Sometimes, yeah. And honestly, okay, if you want to know
it's like,
if you want to know, like, there's a few. It's funny. The things that are behind me are actually the non-commissions right now. And by this podcast, I should have some of these finished. That should be a personal goal. But that my point being is, for me, I've always been an artist who, even as a little kid, I'd ask my younger brother, "Hey, what should I draw?" You know, not that I'm not creative, but I just liked hearing what other people would be interested in. So commissions always came naturally to me, in that it puts me in a position to sort of hear what others love. Like, I personally learn really deeply, or details matter to me. So like, something that I go observe, it's kind of a learning process. For commissions, it's cool to hear how somebody will ask me for a dog portrait, and they say, "Hey, we just lost this dog. This dog was the best dog I've ever had," and the story behind the dog, and the pictures. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times, like at Seaweed, or at a game fair, people will scroll right past their children, their grandchildren, and then
So me.
I know, right? It's good dog people. They'll have 100 pictures of their dog. They
Yeah.
can't even narrow down what they want, because they want to, and then they want to tell you about it. And listen, every time, it is not faking it.
No.
I seriously love listening to people
And
talk
you
about
want to
their
cry
dogs.
with them. I know.
Yes,
It's so funny
yes.
because JC, my oldest, has always said, "You love those dogs more than you love us." And I'm like, they don't talk back, you know?
Don't, and it's we don't get enough time with them.
I
Um,
know.
and so, and they're so loyal, and mine are sitting over here. One just pawed at me while we were sitting here off camera, but yeah, it's just funny how people are like, "Well, what else do you paint? What else do you do?" And listen, I do a lot, in a lot of different mediums, but
I don't think
the
you need to do
stories,
anything but birds and dogs.
I'm
And it's
telling you,
so
and
funny
I do
because,
love it.
well, JC's an adult now. Like, she has her big girl job. She's getting married next month.
Wow.
And her fiance has an amazingly gorgeous, like picture perfect, captivating black lab.
Yeah.
And so now she talks about her kid, right? And now they are adding a golden, and she's preparing for this puppy that's going to come at the end of the year. Like, it's going to have a nursery, like the whole 9 yards. And I'm sitting here saying, I remember when you were a teenage punk wanting to be jealous of Mercy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now your entire world is revolved around these dogs. And
Well, you've raised them up, yeah,
annoying.
around tons of dogs, though, right? I mean, they're
Yeah, I mean, she's really annoying about it because she's not like the tough love dog. She's like, this dog will have a diaper bag kind of, and I'm like, if you get that dog a harness, I'm not even going to claim you.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny, like but like, to your point about the interior design and the customer and the client and the relationship, for me too, that's part of it, is the relationship. Like, to I don't get to visit with a lot of people, like, face to face. So a lot of my work is like over emails and photos and Instagram, and they just DM me pictures, and they send me and so a lot of times I work with photos, but it really is kind of cool to connect with people and see, um every now and then, if, especially when the dog's alive. If it's, a lot of portraits are like, "Hey, I want to memorialize my dog. I want to," that's not to sound all Debbie Downer about dogs passing. It's just that a lot of times that is to sort of elevate that dog
Remember,
to a
yeah,
status in the home, to keep
right.
that memory of the dog alive. But it is fun to, like, meet the people when they bring the dog by Seaweed, or they'll bring it to a game fair, or I do get to meet the dog. And yeah, it's the stories. I mean, it's the people who
It's
pamper the
why we
dogs.
love
It's the
our
people.
industry. We
Yeah.
love it
Yes.
because we do love the dog, but we really love the people's relationship and celebrating the dog and
Yeah.
being able
And
to
watching.
connect on that level is,
Yeah.
it's just, I never get tired of it. And I'm not training anymore. I'm not breeding anymore. I'm moving into a new phase,
Yeah.
like a new
Wow.
season, a new brand, all the things, and it's very different from anything that I've ever done. And I will tell you that I am so grateful for the dog trainers that have carried me through, when instead of me being in the field every single day, I'm sitting behind a computer, and that was such a hard transition for
Yeah.
me that I felt like I lost myself. And so I don't even know what happened. I let my podcast pretty much die. I just kind of like paused life and lived at home and barely left this place.
Yeah.
And then all
I
of
know
a
how
sudden,
that feels. That's where I am right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
one day I was like, oh my gosh, I just started hearing from my dog friends. And my life totally got back on track in a way that I never could have imagined. And so I used to talk about it all the time because that's all I did was run with dog
Hmm.
people. And I was like,
Hmm.
the best people are gun dog people.
Hmm.
And I have that appreciation on a whole different level now because even though I'm not in their circle like I was, they're still supportive.
Yeah. Listen, that is one thing. If anybody like that knows me is watching this, and there's been those moments over the last year and a half or two where I've given them kind of a soft yes. I mean, even this podcast, right? Like, hang on, let me get some ducks in a row type of thing.
I'm telling you,
Those,
I cranked up CC Winans when you text me and you're like, can I still come back on? I'm like, oh, he's
yeah,
back.
yeah.
He's
Well,
back.
and so like you are, you're a testament to this too. It's you're right though. Those the gun dog people, the people out in the industry really have been like patient, kind, and loving, and really
Yes.
supportive to me to not let me fall off or disappear. And for me, it's just been more of like, hey, I've needed to reorient my identity in Christ. I've needed to sort of really reassess like who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And but you're right, like it's really cool when somebody calls you up and they're like, hey, I know you've mentioned you want to come out in the field and photograph and paint these dogs and watch them work. Do you want to come over here and do you want to come to this plantation? Do you want to meet up with us? Do you want to come have dinner with us? And those moments, keep you oriented and reminded that like
Connected.
the Lord's got direction. He's got a good clear path. It's been really cool to have good friends. I'm not choking up. I'm not going to
Well, I
choke
will
up.
tell you what happened. Like, same thing happened with me. We go through seasons of life, number one, that we sure don't see coming. And we don't understand how um like negatively they're going to affect us in the moment, right? And I got caught up in living in the fast lane, knowing that I was carrying a mantle. Because you know this about my dad getting shot and all this stuff. Like, I've got a whole nother podcast series about my dad getting shot in the deer woods and how like God restored him and he was a miracle, all these things.
Mm.
And then I went through a nasty divorce, ended up in the outdoors, like, who am I? What am I gonna do? And here's where I went wrong. It was like, I knew God had called me to do this because nobody else in my family had ever done this, right? And all the doors open. And it became where instead of me saying, okay, God, you open the door, show me what to do next, I was like, oh, I got this. Thank you, God, for giving me this life. I love it so much. I'm always going to give my best. And I ran hard for titles and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that he's not going to use all that for good because we know that the word says that.
Yep.
But I got away from feeding myself the word and relying on what I knew.
Yeah.
And so it's just like shooting. I use this analogy with my ladies. We just miss a little bit when we pull the trigger right here at the muzzle, right? Like, it's just
Hmm.
a little like squeeze with the trigger that pulled us off target. But when it
Yeah.
gets way down at our target, we could miss by a mile.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I found myself. It was like, so what if I kind of made a little decision that may have not been in complete and utter alignment, but I had the best of intention in the beginning. But I
Hmm.
rode that decision way too long without coming back. So when my life fell apart and I came home for the same thing, like, I started a little bit ahead of you, but it was like a year and a half, 2 year stint where I just was like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
Why am I here? I'm not competing anymore. What's my voice? I
Hmm.
what am I supposed to tell people?
Yeah.
I was all
Yeah.
about advocacy and educating, but the world took that away. It was like, I don't know, I'm just a mom now. And so I just started praying for clarity.
Mm.
And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, God, you gave me this gift. You gave me this life. I don't believe it was for nothing. What's that clarity of that purpose? And then that's when we were talking about, I was like, man, the guilt that I had of how I had misused that gift.
Right.
and was like, okay, now we got to focus on purpose and, and not misuse our special life that we've been given. And so, I kid around now and I'm like, I think the last 2 years up until just a few months ago, I was living in a messy bun and PJs all day, sitting on a computer, just writing what God gave to me. So, like, you could just paint, right? And you just be like, oh my God, God gave me this inspiration. I can't leave the studio. I was sitting on the couch or on the back deck or something on my computer. I've never done that in my entire career, been on a computer, you know?
Well, and listen, I'll be clear, just in case there's somebody listening to this later, hit a spot in a chapter in their life
Yeah.
that's like this. And I've even had somebody just recently say like, yeah, but it's the art that saved you, right? And I was polite, and I haven't corrected that person, and there's no need to, but I can just tell you, no, it wasn't. I wasn't able to paint. I sat, I did. I'll tell you what, as an artist, the I guess maybe the prevalent um, joke, or I guess label, is that we're all artists are all just disorganized and time management and all that. And I come by that honest, but the one thing that I would tell you, I'm very diligent, and I encourage people. I encourage people, anybody that I've ever run up against, it's like struggling, really, like in my PJs on the couch, can't get up, can't go, is journal.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's the one thing I think I've been doing that since like 2018, 2019, and I wasn't consistent with it at first, and I didn't have a whole like reason for it other than I didn't know where to go put any of these thoughts, these complex thoughts, these deep thoughts, these hurtful thoughts, uncertain thoughts,
Yeah.
whatever. And so pairing that with scripture every morning and getting up, and I don't do it every single day, but almost every single day
Yeah.
is been consistent for me. And art, there was a point where I could not touch a pen, a paintbrush, a crayon, to any surface whatsoever. It didn't. What was it for, right? And
Yes.
so if anybody like listening to us, um, it's okay for a time
Well, it's
to
not just that it's
understand.
okay. Now that I'm on the other side, God's using that time.
He absolutely.
And we determine how long we stay in that season. And um I'm going to tell you, like, I totally turned into my dad. When I went through my dad's whole healing process, and he never had TV, which I haven't had TV in a long time. But it was more or less political kind of thing. Like, I just don't want to listen to the garbage, and I don't want my kids to be infiltrated in the kids,
Yeah.
Disney, all that crap. So she gets YouTube, and she, like, literally watches Duck Dynasty every day, and I know that's safe. Like, can we please have more Papaw Phil? I know they have private videos. We need more Papaw Phil in our life,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started listening to worship music, which I've never been a real big person in that world, but I literally learned the art of praising myself out of
Yeah.
negativity. And it wasn't like, it's just a supernatural kind of thing, right? I mean, the word gives us the promise, and if we
Mhm.
stand on it, then I just started playing sermons throughout the day. Like, I have my favorite preachers,
Thanks.
and I just leave YouTube on while I work, and that's like our background noise, instead of things that could trigger those memories. And it was so funny when I sat down and said, I am kind of an idiot right now, because I was trained in a mental management program. That's how I became such an amazing shooter. It wasn't just that I had a great shooting coach. I had a coach that understood how to train my mind.
Yeah. And you got
And
to take
I
everything
never
captive,
applied
right?
that. I
Yeah.
only applied it to the field. I never came back in. I applied it to raising my kids, but I didn't take care of myself.
Yep.
And I was like, hold on. Not only does Lanny Bassam give me a bullet PowerPoint program, but it isn't aligned with the word. And
Yeah.
so I just was like, get over yourself. And I know I've texted you that. Like, get over
Yeah.
yourself. Come on,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
world needs you. And
Yeah.
until you're on the other side and it clicks and you start that momentum again. And then I just stayed on my computer. I'm like, guys, tell me things all day long. I don't even know when I'm going to use this content.
Hmm.
But I finally found a marketing group, rebranding, and it's like, I have 20 years of content, and I used to struggle to make a video every day.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
talking about the politics of them trying to take our guns away, like, what was I
Yeah.
talking about? I don't know.
Well, that's crazy that you mentioned that. There were times where, and then again, this is just like put it out there to somebody's watching it, right? Because I think you posted something not too long about the fact that like what when you don't understand what you're going through, the gist. I'm paraphrasing, but like it really does help others down the road. And so when you're sitting in the middle of it going like, what is all this for? Like,
Yeah.
why insult to injury? Why has it gotta go so long? And I started realizing there was so much to learn, right? There's so many things that I did that were mistakes that I don't necessarily look at as failures, but you're like, hey, you need to go back and reassess and learn from these things, and really like you said, that course degree of just a degree or two of change, it really compounds into something greater. And so, it's so that I wasn't reliving things, but actually like recharging and being refined. Like God has kept me in a refining period. And what's funny is you mentioned about being at home too. It's like I've come to this place. I'm sitting here. This is supposed to be the dining room of this house. I'm about to. I think I'm about to be moving into a studio in downtown Opelika, here locally, and that's going to be, I think, a great transition for me. I have felt like God used, even divorce, but used a tough time in life to almost isolate me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but insulate me. And
Yeah.
then now that took place, and He really ministered to me, then it's like, okay, now what? And it almost feels like He's pushing me out of the nest a little bit.
Yeah.
And you've been kind of describing that, and I think being a parent, right, of your daughters and me of two boys, it, it's okay for them to see you struggle. It's really important for them to see you lean on the Lord as
It's
as your
necessary. It's
as your strength to,
absolutely necessary.
yeah, to literally say like, okay, I now admit in front of my kids, God, and everybody on this podcast, I can't do this by myself. And He's the reason why I'm an artist anyway. He's the one that gives us all these gifts. He's the one that gives us the opportunities. And so um, He can do with it what He wills. But for a while there, I sat there going like, well, what was I trying so hard for if all this is going to fall apart? And now I'm seeing that there was a foundation. Like you said, there was scripture I thought I understood until I really went to the depths of it. There was things about this world I thought I got. Even with social media and all of that, like trying to trumpet and sound off alarms and like talk to people and being thought of as even crazy, right, in the day and age. And now you go back and look, and we weren't so crazy. And you look at things that still we it was intended, right? Our intentions sometimes are good, but unless God's ready to use it in the time that He wants to use it, and He may not even have something. David wanted to build the temple, and He said, "Hey, I didn't ask you to build a temple. Your son's going to build the temple." It's
Yeah.
things like that.
I
Sometimes you
love that you say that because we can have the best of intentions, but it's still personal. It's not God ordained or anointed. So we have to make sure that our actions, that our mission is under the anointing so that it can prosper.
that too is an interesting thing where okay, as a creative, right? Like I can set something up,
It's hard for us as creative to fall in
yeah,
line with that.
but
Yeah.
I can go set something up on an easel or on the table and start going and thinking I'm heading down the right direction. And even I don't like the direction I just went, right? Like, or I want to scrap something, or I'll have a good intention behind something and realize like this isn't gonna this isn't gonna materialize the way I want. And a lot of times when I'm doing that, it's when when it's like it's impulsive, right? Like, or I'm trying something, which sometimes is awesome. But I could go down a whole different rabbit trail. My brain wants to like get on a soapbox about impulse art and like what art has become and why I do what I do versus scratching and scraping a bunch of colors on a canvas and calling it art. But I won't go there. I won't
Yeah.
go there. I
Okay.
won't go there right now.
When you bring that up, I want to pause for just a second because I just came back from lobby day with SCI just a few weeks ago, and they were talking about because they do their annual meeting in DC that time. So all the presidents of all the national chapters, all this stuff. I went to the training, and they said I about fell out of my chair. That art is not popular anymore at banquets to be sold. And I elbowed Matthew and I said, we're going to every daggum banquet and I'm buying all the art when it's dirt cheap because art is totally coming back. Like, art's not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
It's
The
not.
problem is they may be picking the wrong art to put in their auction. But I tell you what, Jim Killen still to this day is my art hero, and I will forever celebrate that man.
Love it.
I don't have his mug because you can't buy them anymore, so I literally have them in lock and key.
Yeah.
Um,
Hang on to them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but you know, Wendy and I are very good friends, his daughter-in-law, and what an icon he's been for our
Mhm.
industry and for people to have that attitude. It's like you can control what's cool if you make it cool.
Oh, for sure.
The one lasting thing is art. Do you know that my entire house is decorated with DU art from banquets? Because when these men who have contributed so much to our industry pass, their family gives it back. And it ends
Yeah.
up cluttering somebody's basement, and everybody in Georgia knows, call Anna V, she'll take all your
Yeah.
junk. And
And
I have just stuff with men's name like plaques on it, and I'm like, thank you, whoever you are, for investing in us. It's like, I don't
well,
know. I just
you
think
know,
that was so crazy. So I wanted to celebrate you. Like, there's a whole many reasons why I wanted you to come on.
thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
But
I love that you use the word investing though, because I have a deep respect for photographers. But so many times nowadays, like photography is used in publications and social media and like commercial use, and it's it's really now this is a wide generalization, and I know some amazing photographers go with people on these amazing, SCI hunts and things of that nature. But what I'm talking about is even a photograph tends to eventually fade, right? You look at even the technology of like photography as it's come up, the technology alone. But I was thinking about this before I got on with you yesterday. I was thinking like, what is it about like, and really, I've had to do this. This is no joke. Like mentally, I've had to sit here and go like, what is the purpose of a painting? Like, what is the point of why I do what I do? It's kind of a luxury thing, It's
yeah.
not,
Oh, it's
but I do think it's
it's a lot.
essential. Like,
Yeah.
there's too many areas of life right now being minimalized, being utilitarian. In like, look at government buildings from one century ago to now.
Don't get me
Look at
started on architecture.
right, like you mentioned architecture, and it's like I almost went into architecture. I, I'm wildly inspired by like landscape architecture and landscape design and gardens and space and interior spaces too. But that's why I really do like working with interior designers because I love when they'll commission me for somebody's space because they do have that task of saying like, how is this used? How is this beautiful? How is this
Meaningful to the person
meaningful?
inhabiting the
Right.
space.
How
Yeah.
is this curated and collected and invested? It really is an investment, especially with people who have um they really have kind of, I mean, it's a beauty when somebody has an unlimited budget, when they're not focused on price tags so much as they're focused on the richness of something, the beauty of something, the integrity of something, the character and the nature of something. And
We have
I,
lost
I,
that integrity. That's the word.
Completely. And
Yeah.
so it's, it's not to crap on somebody who is an abstract artist and does something conventional. I mean, right now most interior designers have some form of a splotchy abstract art painting where somebody scratched some stuff, splashed some stuff, washed some stuff, done
It
some
ain't in my
things.
house.
I mean, I have some in my house. I've tried to do it. It just doesn't come naturally to me because I don't understand sometimes. And again, this is a humble disclaimer. I don't really understand, other than it being an impulsive thing to do, why it has taken off so dramatically. Like it really has. Like if
I'll
you
tell
look
you
at these,
why it's taken off. Because people have gotten so busy in life that everyone lives on the surface.
yeah,
That's what sent me back home. I was like, I think that I've been on the road 8, 9 months of every single year for the last 8 years, and I was just wanting to plant roots. I wanted to get to know somebody new
yeah, yeah,
instead of just being like, man, that was a great time. On to the next one, the next town, the next show, and it's fun for a while. But I saw how that lifestyle literally affects everything in life, and you lose tradition, you lose that sense of integrity, like I was saying, you lose legacy. And I was like,
hmm
that's my word. I built my entire outdoor life built on legacy. What's my
hands down.
legacy? That I'm traveling 100,000 miles a year? Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. And listen, I think honestly, it makes me think that like even okay, so like the abstract painting, people can just walk right by it. It's a splash of color. There's like you're saying, there's no stop to embrace the skill of recreating something, the mood, the theme, the place, the story behind something. And
the
so
memory that it triggers. I just
yeah,
don't
but
know how abstract art's supposed to trigger a memory.
yeah, I mean, I love the idea of like a feeling, the color scheme of a feeling or something like that. I get that. And this is nerdy art speak, but I mean, when you think about like, okay, well, what's a big deal about mallards, cupping into a duck hole? What's a big deal? What's the big deal
Everything is
of a
a big
lab
deal.
like at attention? And to me, I'll answer it very plainly. Like for people, like they go, why do you do so many dog portraits? The loyalty of the animal, the relationship, the goodness, like the just the purpose of that animal being bred and loved and trained, and that relationship, that stewardship of the land. Like I can go on and on and on because we've got a farm, outside of my hometown here that's 550 acres, but the difficulty in maintaining it, right? Like what people don't
Yeah,
understand what goes into land management
sacrifice.
and stewardship of just like making that place a place of memory and sanctuary, and those animals and those people, when you lose them, like we've got this photo, and apologies to my cousin Austin, when he was like 7 8 years old, he's wearing sort of this like track suit, but my pawpaw was in his like quail hunting gear, and the goal, my like I said, apologies to Austin, I photoshopped him out so that we could just focus on pawpaw.
Yeah.
And we tried to put his bird dog. Nobody in my family could tell me about these bird dogs he used to have, but apparently he had some German short hair pointers. Um, it sounds like these were good, great dogs, but that my pawpaw, like they were not house dogs.
So isn't that crazy though, the
You know,
transition of our industry from
yeah.
even when I first started, let's see, Mercy was born in 14. All the old guys that I ran with that raised me up, I was the only female running UFTA in Georgia back then.
Okay.
And they thought I was nuts. I was such a fraud because I let my dog sleep in my bed. She's never going to be a good bird dog. Like, I heard
It's
him
that
many times, and I'm
relationship.
like,
They'll go harder, won't they?
are you joking? And then we get caught at nationals and a tornado comes. Oh, I'm like, I have blackmail on all y'all because these men were like, how many leashes can we get? We got to get all my favorite dogs off the trailer because, like when you have a trailer full of dogs, you can't bring them all inside. We
Yeah.
couldn't have 1,000 dogs in the basement of this hotel. So, I mean, these men were crying, having to, I could only take 2 dogs, and we just sat there and we prayed with all of our dogs on leads, like in the hall of this basement of the hotel,
Oh my God.
because this tornado was coming right over us. And I was like, yeah, I bet all y'all go home and put these dogs in your bed now. you know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, mine, you know, yeah, mine are two English cockers. They're smaller, so it's not,
Yes.
quite as big, but they're right over there. He's in my armchair, and they have been with me through thick and thin. I mean, they have literally been just
I think
angels. I
that's
mean,
been the best um, evolution of our industry is
hmm
that one fact is
hmm
I never felt unwanted. I mean, I can say that I've been on some hunts where men wanted to poke at me, but I was like, okay, whatever.
yeah,
I really hate that you're so sheltered, but the way that we celebrate the dog has
hmm
come so far. And when Tater was 4, her sister was showing in Oklahoma. So Tater and I drove separate and met the rest of the crew with the horse and everything in Oklahoma because we had to go to the Bird Dog Museum. I was like, you're about to
so
go have to
cool.
spend a whole week at 150 degrees celebrating your sister. I'm going to make something about you. And so we went to the Bird Dog Museum, and that was so cool to see this little kid go through this museum. And you want to talk about art? Oh my gosh! Like
Uh,
every dog in the Hall of Fame has a beautiful portrait there, and the way that they showcase dog gear and everything is just something that you have to do. Even if
well, okay, well,
you're
I'm gonna have
around
to
it.
put that on my list because I haven't done
Oh my
that.
gosh! Yes,
I
and
need
you're so close.
I need to just go. I need to go.
Yeah, there's
That's
nothing around there, but we didn't get to go to Ames Plantation because we were on the way. I will tell you that when we got to Oklahoma, I called Ronnie and Susanna, and I'm like, me and Tater got to get out of here. We're coming over. So we drove to go see Ronnie and Susanna. Every time we went to Oklahoma, we tried to see them, even if we were there for horses. But
love it. I love it.
it's just been something that's been really cool to watch and know how I was judged in the beginning, and then
hmm
see that evolution of how the dog really is so celebrated as a family member.
It really is, and I mean that's what's so cool. I've got things that I need to respond to, but there are. I'm finding that people will reach out and say like, "Hey, I have these most special bird dogs, and I'd like to do a series of them over the years, with you." And I love that idea because it, like you talked about, the legacy and carrying that on is so important. And listen, I mean, I'm no spring chicken anymore, but
And that's your calling. Like, your calling is to make sure this lasts forever, because they will always have their stories and they may
yeah,
have photos, but there's something that happens that elevates this legacy when you put it in paint.
and listen, we've been bouncing around. I'm glad you just said that. That's where I was going with an earlier thought was like with when we were talking about photographers and all that. And I'm glad we can bounce around. I'm glad you can hang with me. What I was gonna say was there's something more that seems more permanent. Like when you think of, you just mentioned museums, and there are photography museums. There really are. And I hope no photographer hears me as a diminishing as like making diminishing comments about photography. In fact, um
I've had this conversation with Buzz on my podcast. And
okay,
I mean, like, in my world, I just think he's like the hero, Superman of all heroes kind of thing. And that's what he says. He gets very defensive about how long it took for him to master his craft.
for sure, like
And then with the
they such
camera, with technology now, it's just like everybody says they're on the same level. And there's a and this may be where you're going, but there's something to say about experience. Time teaches things that technology can't give you.
that's that I even had a professor at Auburn, and then I got an industrial design degree. He told me that he's still there. He would tell you that. He said, I can teach you every skill, any CAD program. I can teach you all the tools. But if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you'll wake up one day and you'll be obsolete, right? Like, because you'll have learned tools that I taught you, or but then like what's behind what you do. So I think photographers, in my estimation, are so elevated in the visual representation world. I do not think of myself as like more than, but I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, I asked God not too long ago. I asked him last week. I said, like, what is it about art? I mean, I feel like I'm mimicking my creator. I'm trying to do. I will never, even the most realistic painter, um, like hyper realism. Some of these artists that'll blow up a rose like 6 feet. They'll never ever be able to paint every cell of every petal of and every water droplet, nuance and um, you know, uh,
Replicate creation.
you cannot you cannot and then you're painting it flat. You're not even painting it 3D, right? You can't do it the way that the creator did it, and that's what part of me has always said, like, okay, then I won't try to be a hyper realist. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to recreate a moment in a way that maybe a photograph doesn't. So I'm selecting things. I'm not photoshopping things. I'm not using Lightroom, but actually, I do that. I manipulate my reference images, um, in and sometimes I'll take dogs out of photos I've taken here and put them in this scene there because but that means I got to pay attention to the lighting, and I got to pay attention to all the other things that the photographers have to also pay attention to. So mad huge respect for photographers. I just mean to say that when you look at art, people still go to museums to see that art, and the art that they're seeing, the art that I've gone and seen in New York and all these other major cities where, I mean, even Auburn University has an art museum here that has the largest John James Audubon collection. So like all of his botanicals, like the birds and the flora fauna and all that. Like I'm a huge Audubon fan. I mean, I just
Yeah.
love the way he studied things. I love the way that he had his work reproduced. So that's a whole nerdy discussion too. But the idea that like the whole point was to go find creation, go recreate it, go like show people, right? Like depict this stuff. And, sometimes he had to shoot the birds and then he would use wires to like position their wings and their head and all that for some of those, the way that the composition flows. And so some people I've heard like criticize that as like that was inhumane, but the idea that he was still a good steward of what he was observing. He was appreciating it. He was doing the best he knew how to do to replicate and share that with the world and document these things. And so now, his prints and these reproduction of his artwork. There was a gallery downtown Charleston on King Street that's no longer there that had those there, and they were just hyper expensive. And
Yeah. Priceless.
yeah,
Because
priceless. And I guess that's where I'm going with it, is like there's something to be said for like um replacing beauty where beauty is being stripped and put away and tucked away and being torn down. I mean, all the time. I don't know about where you are, but you know, all the time. I just see all the time. Now, downtown Opelika, Alabama, has a wonderful historical society, preservation society, and like Charleston, South Carolina, I think is like, to me, is like the pinnacle of merging the historical
and we
preservation
have
society
Savannah
with
in
the modern.
Georgia, which is a great town, but I just feel like there's nothing more southern than Charleston.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's where my whole family came to the States, and then from Charleston to Alabama. But yeah, so it's got home written all over it for me in a lot of ways. And where I'm going with that is, though, like there's far too many things in this life, additions and new buildings being put up, and all these like corporate big massive construction companies just coming in and just putting like mass housing or mass whatever, and then you go into those lobbies and the downstairs and it's abstract art, and it's this,
Cold.
it's well, it's, yeah, it's cold, but it's like even doctors offices and wherever you seem to go these days, it feels clinical and sterile, and no flavor. I mean, or the flavor is like unimpressive. It's just I don't
Well,
understand this,
I
like this.
I feel like coming from the design world that number one, people have lost respect for the integrity. You know,
Hmm.
I do
Yeah,
feel like that has been lost. But number two, um, everybody just wants to get done with the cheapest budget.
that's the thing.
And
Money. It's always everybody always will tell
always
you it's money. Oh
money.
well,
And
it
it's
just
like
we can't add that because it's too expensive. Too expensive.
nobody says we're going to build something that's going to be here 150 years from now. Nobody says
Yeah.
that anymore. Nobody
Yeah.
says, oh my gosh, like our home is decorated only with only things that mean something to us from an event we've had, an adventure
Hmm.
we've been on, something that's been a massive memorable moment.
Yeah.
So we have tons of antique furniture, and I realize that people don't really love this, but the reason why is because when I come home, like I just want to celebrate my life. I'm like, I never want to
Yeah.
forget something that we did or something that we overcame,
Hmm.
those hard things.
Yeah.
Like my trophies are out not because I want to just be like, oh yeah, I did that, because those years pass and then you like kind of start
Hmm.
feeling like a has been. But then,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not looking at the date. but
Yeah.
um
Yeah. That's
but what it
true.
triggers in me is I overcame hard things.
Hmm.
And I wish that people would invest in art the same way, which I grew up in a family that loved art. Even before I went to design school, I always joke that my inheritance is in art.
Yeah.
And, it changed the feeling of our family to invest in things that tell their own story. Like back in the early 90s, my dad was all about Bev Doolittle, because
Okay.
she had her story, right? Whatever the print was, but within that print was a whole nother story. And so
Okay.
he loved that. So, for instance, like it might be horses running across some field, but within that, there could be like birds flying. Like the way that she painted the horses, if you really stared at it, you saw a whole nother picture. And so there, and yeah, you're just not going to get that with everyday art today. And
Yeah.
like,
Listen.
why does
That's what
this
it.
work with our industry? Like,
Well.
because you go
Yeah.
to Seaweed, and here's
Yeah.
the thing about Seaweed. Um, Seaweed's full of lifestyle supporters, not
Hmm.
hardcore hunters. And I think this
Yeah. I
year,
agree with that. I agree with that.
I think it overlapped with SCI. And I was like,
Yeah.
when we have amazing artists at SEI convention, but there are a lot of safari art there, and so
Hmm.
I've actually started incorporating that in our house, because that's like his love. So I have found new respect for different species that in the past didn't like rev my motor, like
Yeah, but that is really cool though that is the case now. I mean, that's cool. That's
yeah,
like
I've
it's a
grown.
it's a new it's like a new area of art. Yeah, that's cool.
But I mean, I leave for Africa next month, but trust me, it is the birds and the ducks that's getting me there.
I gotcha. Yeah, hey, listen, I mean, I'll tell you the best duck hunting I've ever done is at Los Laureles Lodge in Argentina. And
Hey, they message
I'm
me
telling
all
you,
the time. I'm like, y'all have to be the nicest people.
JJ is he's the best. It's literally um the most fun I've ever had in a duck blind. Our guides and the dog is this wire-haired pointer named Fox who got perdice, ducks, dove, pigeons. I mean, this dog was the most multifaceted dog. I asked JJ and I said, "Hey, I mean, these ducks?" He's like, "Now these ducks are going to fly fast." And they're going to come whistling in. I was like, well, look, I got wood ducks in Alabama. He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. These whistle missiles just prepare. I was like, well, what do I do? He goes, shoot them in the beak. And I go, okay. So the story just blows my mind. Okay, so they put us on this cattle ponds with these. Um, the blind is basically just palms like stuck in the ground. It's awesome. We got these duck stools, dove stools like stuck there. The guides are behind us. I got my buddy Jean Paul. He is an amazing chef and friend from Louisiana that was sitting there with me. We're shooting, and it took me a little to get to warm up
Yeah.
on the first day, right? I mean, they really did. I mean, just screaming in real low. Well, then I start shooting. This dog is, I mean, going through the pond is just covered. I mean, it's like it's got duckweed and all that all over it. So this dog is working overtime to get back and forth, back and forth. And at one point, I shoot a duck. I shoot this duck's head clean off. Like Anna, the head goes this way, the body goes this way, and they're looking at me like that's how you do it. That's how you shoot him in the beak. This dog is so good. It goes and gets the body, and then went and found me the head and brought it back to me too, unprompted. And I have this like little picture. Not, it's grotesque. I wouldn't. I
Yeah.
mean, for
If you
non-shooters,
posted it today,
God, they'd be so up in arms. I'm talking like that dog was so fun to watch, and that duck hunting down there it's just beautiful. And I mean, the limit's 20. I mean, I will send you the picture of me like
that
where
is
Jean Paul's
so
like, you
heavy though.
gotta.
People can't imagine how heavy that is.
No, it's great. Like, you don't have to like shoot above the limit. It's the most fun you ever get. But then like this same dog, like we went out to shoot perdies. We're perdies are, for those that may not understand, it's like a partridge. I mean, it's a size between a bobwhite and a pheasant. It's both male and female, a real drab. They're like delicious, by the way. They're like a white meat. But this dog, and they run in pairs usually, rather than like a big covey flushing. It's just a pair, like a male and then they'll split off. And at one point we shoot one, he goes and retrieves it with the birdies in his mouth. He like does a 90-degree turn and points the other bird. Like, I didn't even think a dog could decipher, I've got a dead bird in my mouth.
Yeah.
That should keep me from being able. And this dog was amazing. He was young too. He was only like 8 or 9 months old at the time. He's a couple of years old now.
I wish I could have
Well,
tournament hunted with that dog.
I'm telling you, this it's just such a cool dog to watch work. And I've had so much fun doing that. But yeah, I imagine Africa is gonna be
Can't wait.
top
Cannot
notch,
wait.
top
I've
notch.
put together trips, like we're gonna go this first time, we're gonna film and we're gonna come back and I'm gonna advertise, come go with me, this is what it's like, because there's a lot of wing shooters that haven't gone there. It's kind of a new thing there.
Okay, hold on. You know who told me about the bird hunting in Africa? It was Brent Longoria. She used to go,
Yeah, well she's
right?
like a, yeah, yeah, well,
But she's told me like that's like she and her dad, with the
yeah,
dogs,
she's
and
there
then
all the time
but
now.
she talked about how everybody's safari hunting over there, and the bird hunting is what she loved over there. I
Yeah,
guess
so
growing
I'm
up,
working
right?
with Tim Van Heerden, who is like launching this big in South Africa. And so I've put together 3 consecutive summers. And within those 3 summers, you can take the whole world record book of upland and waterfowl. So I'm like, please come go with me. It's going to be so fun. But this year, we're going by ourselves to just get the lay of the land.
Yeah.
And it'll be my first trip there because I've never wanted to leave my dog. I felt like that was a massive sin. But yeah, we're doing things with like Amy Bell Charities, and we're gonna meet some of our friends over there. So I'm working with a new kennel that we kind of are launching. It's not kind of launching; it's like a big deal in Mississippi in the next month or so. And so one of the guys that I'm working with there, he also works with some lodges in South Africa. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a
Okay.
lot of fun.
Okay.
I don't decipher work and play or like personal life.
Yeah.
I gave
It's
up on
all.
that. I was like, I love my life so much that if I'm awake, it's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
I love
I love
that.
the fact that I get to work alongside with my most favorite people. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
That's literally what I love hearing that, because I have said like I think I let too much of life just happen to me and I didn't really have I was just kind of like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. I didn't have a trajectory. And I think, like you talked about earlier, asking the Lord to anoint certain things is the beginning. That contrite heart is the beginning stage of saying like, all right, now what? Where do we go? And yeah, I thought like if I'm going to travel, and especially if I'm going to take my kids and friends and family, or go somewhere. Why not be like an artist brain doesn't shut off anyway. I should be doing, like you're saying, right? Like I should be making the most of every hour
It's an
as I can.
entrepreneur mindset. I mean, I
Yeah.
know us creatives can kind of get out there, but
Yeah.
once I made that surrender and was like, okay, go back to women thing, I didn't want to do that because I loved hanging with the guys. I loved learning. I am addicted to learning. And that is one thing, like, I am a doer, but uh, especially since like ChatGPT came along and all this stuff, and I can literally just ask one question and I can have 100 hours of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know this moment over and over and
Yeah.
over. It made it so easy, I think, to do research and things. It was like, okay. And then we went to DC and I got to educate. I mean, I sat in Warnock's office and educated them on lead band and our youth shooters across the country and how they're reliant on opinions and not science. And you know, I
Wow.
realized it's like, okay, God did give me the coolest of friends. They're all like the best in their industry. And I've always just been like, oh yeah, I love these people. I'm like, no, they were sent into my life to empower me. Like they do their job. We all work together and it's so fun. So anyways, like I could talk about that for hours, but that was the thing is, when you talk about being just inspired, working from home, I find myself with the wackiest hours. Sometimes
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
inspired at 8 o'clock and I'm like, it's on. And I mean at night. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
may
Yep.
just have like a lazy morning or whatever, or I can feel that I've been overwhelmed and I need to just take a day off. And I'm just so grateful for the luxury of that. Like, my
Hmm.
brain would never have worked with a 9 to 5 job in a cubicle. I know
I've
that.
done it. I've done it. I've done it to really almost how do you want to say it? Almost like fund what was my Andrew Lee design as a side hustle type of thing. It started out like that, and honestly, like the work that I did, it was my colleagues that I enjoyed working with,
Yeah.
more than the work itself. And then, yeah, that structure is good for somebody that's ADHD. Like it's sort of like, hey, I have a predictable schedule. I need to get to that. I need to go and do those things. But man, I've told people
Would kind
it's
of
it's hard.
disagree because
It
I
just
feel
don't.
like that creative mind allows you to do things. If you ask my parents what I do, I'm their only child. They still have no idea. They think I play all day. They're like, well, she just does things with the dogs and she's always on the phone. I mean,
Yeah,
that's all and I'm like,
yeah. He's like,
so for people
listen.
that don't understand what we're talking about, it's literally like when the word says that God will give us the desires of our heart.
Hmm.
People in the South, and we won't name names of church titles, but they preach that as though God is Santa Claus and we have something in our heart, and so we just ask for it and God gives it to us. What we miss is that God put that fire within
Hmm.
us that lights us up. And that is the thing that we are supposed to pursue.
And I
And
think a lot of
so
times when you see things
that
that are
that can
not
become
lighting,
a career. And so for
yes, yeah,
people that have
yeah,
been taught, oh, you know, you can't create something out of nothing. Well, I sure as heck did.
yeah,
And if I did it,
yeah.
anybody can. So
Right. And sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I meant to say that I it's funny how there's things that I've invested in or I've put money towards and products and things that I've tried um and mixed results, or they've been something that just hasn't worked. And so that's just part of that entrepreneurial thing. But I think like to your point, I just wanted to echo it. I think when people, I don't want to say this clearly. Basically, what's cool about this journey that I've been learning, as like I started off working doing this as a side job because people were like, "Hey, can you paint my dog?" or "Hey, can you do this thing?" And I mean, I started off charging next to nothing. It's funny, it's comical, um, and then I've gotten obviously better at what I've done, but that whole transition of asking God, like, is this the right direction? Like, what am I doing this for, other than to provide and all of that. It's funny how when you ask him humbly to start illuminating the path and opening the direction, like he will. And when you ask him to close those certain doors that don't align with his will, when he gives you the desires of your heart, it's usually because you're checking in with his desires, with his heart. It's usually when you're not
Alignment
off
with
on
your
some
purpose and
road.
your calling.
Yeah, you're not off on some like road plan, doing things your way. It's usually when you're not falling on your face is when you're kind of like abiding with him. You're understanding that, and it's taken me years to get there where I was like kind of just shooting blindly. I was just sort of like, hey, I'm going to try this thing. And that's fun for experimentation's point, but make that like
And you're going to
20% of
learn
what you do,
something,
right?
but you got to be in check to be able to know when you're supposed to go back. And that was where I messed up.
Yeah.
Because you will
Yeah.
pay a price. And I love what our preacher says. He's like, delayed obedience is still disobedience.
I've heard that too.
Isn't that
Yep.
good?
And I did have, I had I had a pastor when, and this is remotely, this is through DMs, but he was posting something about um, being in the waiting season. So for people that like just feel like win, and I said, okay, but what about somebody who's like would consider themselves a mature Christian who's followed the Lord nearly their entire life, and you hit this part going like, why did all this fall
Oh,
apart?
I need
Why did all
another
this happen?
hour. I
I
need
know,
another
and
hour.
and we could do that. I mean, I'd follow up with you real soon because I've really enjoyed this. But what he said to me was, he goes, "Hey, obedience in the waiting. Waiting doesn't mean always sit still. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it actually means
You're
stop.
never sitting still in the waiting.
Right. But what
You're
he told me,
learning, but it's different.
right? What he told me that I'm still chewing on it like a piece of gristle. I mean, it's obedience is your success. And the reason why I says gristle, because that's hard to chew on sometimes. Like obedience in the little things, obedience in the discomfort, obedience in the uncertainty. Like you don't have clarity. The clarity is not for you right now. The clarity comes after the refining, after the like the walking through the process. And it's just funny. It's I'm being sort of vague and like generalizing things because yeah, like you said,
No, it's personal.
yeah, well, and you
And
could
the
and we
whole
could we
thing
could
is
talk for
this.
another 2 hours about it.
That waiting is you building your faith and God taking you into deeper things of Him. So we can easily think, because we can quote scripture, that we have arrived. But God is so deep and infinite that we would never reach, just like we talk about, we're never going to learn everything about the outdoors. Well, my gosh, can you think about the Creator? Like, we're never going to learn enough. So when we get put on pause, because that, like, I hit all the doors shut in my world right before yours did. And so I
Yeah.
was like a few laps ahead of you in this same time of growth. And it seemed like waiting, but when you get to the other side, I have held on to the scripture that I've taken for granted for so long about how God works everything for those who believe in Him. And it's like all I could do was, I always do all my prayer time in the kennel. And I tell you what, I pray for my dogs. I'm like, my dogs have opened so many doors for me. It's like, I am so grateful for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I met all these people, right?
Yeah.
So, you're gonna get me choked up now.
Hey, hey
My
now,
turn.
hey now. That's okay. You're
So you go
safe here
down
because I've
there,
been
and
here.
I'm like,
Been there.
oh my gosh, just gratitude. I preached to my oldest daughter, and
Speaking of dogs, right
yeah,
on cue. Hey,
I'll take that. Amen. Um,
yeah, come on. Come here.
so my oldest daughter and her best friend, I preach to them all the time about having a humble, grateful heart, and it just came to the point where it's like, we're not here to ask God, what are we supposed to do? What's next? All the things. It's like we're here to glorify Him. And sometimes that means just putting us in pause and saying, I'm just living in a heart of gratitude for where I am. If nothing else ever happens, I've done more than I ever could have dreamt I could have done. And I am grateful for that.
Yeah.
And in that obedience, I tell you what, my life has changed drastically in the last 2 weeks because of alignment of things that he was doing when all I did was spend time with him. I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
posting. I was barely podcasting consistently. I wasn't shooting. I am so out of practice. It's not even funny. And I just picked up my mom roots and I just said, you know what? Like, I'm just going to be a mom and I'm just going to figure out what's going to happen. Okay, this is going 2 ways. Number one, I woke up. Tater got up before I did on the back deck, and I posted this on my story. I see her Bible, her devotion from Sadie Robertson, her bag of markers, and some cup of probably sweet tea. On the back deck, overlooking the ponds, looking at the mountains, and I'm like, I don't care if the kid ever makes another A. I
Yeah.
don't care if I ever go viral again. I don't care. Like, everything that I was called to do, I just saw it right there.
Yeah.
And I posted about it. I was like, I'll never complain about Tater not cleaning up her stuff because that was confirmation. So here I got more confirmation. And I cut you off before we started recording, which I've been itching to hear your opinion on this. But
Okay.
I gave up on social media because you were asking me about when I got attacked and deleted and hacked and I couldn't even start an account. I am in LinkedIn jail right now. And tell me how you get in jail on LinkedIn. I don't know, but I get zero help. So I quit asking who's doing this to me. And I started saying, okay, God, where are you wanting me to go that I haven't figured out yet? Right? Because instead of me having opportunity to be everywhere, I have been like isolated to a specific lane. And I couldn't start a new account on Instagram. Luckily, I had some old accounts that I could switch a name and kind of start over. And it was so stagnant that I lost my momentum to build and share. And so, you know, during that 2 years that I was talking to you about, like, I'm writing stuff on my computer, putting all my thoughts down. Like, maybe I write a book. Maybe I do this. Like, I'm definitely going to start public speaking. It was like, what? Like, I am not a yuppie girl. Like, you know, I mean, I belong in the field. But if my time in the field prepared me to help other people, because we talk about this too, we are positioned to help those that we once were, like people that we once were, right? So if there are other moms that are struggling, like, number one, I need to know how to connect with my kid during teenage years, during their whatever. I don't have all the answers, but I know what worked for me, you know, and I know what I've been trained in the programs that I've been trained. And I do.
And where we fell down, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
can admit those
Yeah.
things and we can be like, hey, look, this, this really wasn't the way to do it. These are where I fell apart. This is where I wish I had seen a discerning moment differently,
Yeah,
and
and then
chosen some differently.
helping moms have the confidence to get outdoors with their kids, because you and I both know the transformation that we have with family and the outdoors and stuff. And so, anyways, long story short, I 2 Wednesdays ago, one of my videos from Lobby Day just took off. And I've never been viral. I mean, I've had popular posts within our industry and felt like, wow, like, we're really making change. This does matter. But it was like God giving me confirmation. It was like, you stick with me and it will all come back. And then it will come back like 7 times greater, right? That's our promise that we can hold on to. And I have never, number one, been more creative and inspired to post on social media, which sounds so crazy to me because I'm like the most inconsistent person on there. Because of this new message within me that I don't even know where it came from, except for the fact that I isolated myself with my dogs in the kennel and spent time with him. And then all of this, which you feel like that's backwards, right? You feel like you're moving backwards. You feel like all this happening. But that happened. And then since then, I cannot tell you how many things have happened in the industry that's opportunity that I didn't seek out, that I never would have thought of on my own, in a week.
Yeah.
And so when you were asking me about social media and what happened, and I cut you off because I was like, oh, I don't want to miss this. I want people to hear it because I wasn't singled out. You know, there's so many people in our industry that get put in jail online and deal with it. And it's like, how do we how do we continue to share with each other and inspire each other through this race that, we're running.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I remember, you know, pre-COVID lockdowns, shutdowns, all of that. There was, I mean, so much momentum that you had, like algorithmically. It just seemed like, yeah, you would pop up to the top, you were crushing it, and then I just remember they throttled you, and then they zapped you, right? I mean, you got in the crosshairs with a lot of like high profile people who lost multiple different social media accounts. I mean, they were acting like they weren't doing that, but then where did everybody with one kind of united front and united voice go
Right.
all of a sudden, right? And
And I was one of the unfortunate ones that didn't get it back.
yeah, right. I mean, and so it's been interesting to see how, even, I mean, I'll say this: I know back in the day when that was happening, in Trump's first, or before Trump's first term, right? Trump's first term, that I was ready to even like kind of, man, I got hundreds of things I could release, right? Like commercial artwork and products and shirts and things. And I just remember seeing even some of the platforms, the various platforms. I won't name anyone specifically or anything like that, but just that, there were some that were even throttling people's product lines if they
Yeah.
promoted America. That was the craziest thing to me. Was like, I know we're like-minded with a lot of people in the industry who literally, we're not some like crazy nationalists. We love that our state constitutions, and our constitution was founded with the Christian creator in mind, and that was built originally for
And
that.
I
And
wasn't even preaching that. I was
well, yeah,
hammering gun rights. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, but all
Republicans,
that plays
and we
into it,
need it
right?
now more than ever
Yeah,
because
it all plays in.
we just went through our primary and we don't have enough Republicans voting when we're in a runoff. If we combine those votes, we still can't beat the Democrats. And I'm like, I'm not a genius here with politics, but I am a hardcore fighter for our industry and our children's future. And here I am back on the soapbox, and I am like, I need people to align with me. And so I'm really
Well, and
appreciative that you're bringing this up because I never ask for follows. I never ask for support. I'm like, my people will find me. And I believe in that. But at the same time, like, maybe I could come back bigger and stronger if I said, hey, I value you. If you would come along with me, I would appreciate it so much because we're stronger together. And I realize in that quiet time that we can't do it on our own. That we really do. He's fine.
they think that somebody's in our yard and it's my neighbor's.
But
No, you
like
can
we
edit that
have
part.
to band together. So I've seen the importance of that, and I know that you have too. Like, we're stronger together, and so yeah, the numbers matter because they open up doors to get into situations. Like, no matter how I didn't want to play the game, right? I've never played the game properly. I have just tried to live with integrity and a high road and to be an example for those girls coming behind me.
Yeah,
But it's like at the end of the day, sometimes we just have to pick the lesser of evils. And if playing the numbers game opens up doors for us to be truth tellers,
yeah,
then that's what we have to do. And it's a hard thing to say out loud that I have to have a social following to justify
yeah.
what I've done or the things that I've accomplished or my message. But I can't change the industry. I can't change how that works. Whether I get my old account back and have all those followers, or if I lose the one that I have right now and start at zero, I am still the very exact same person.
Yeah, and what I love about that is that, um there's plenty of people who got so tired of social media that, a lot of people do that during Lent, right? They'll go and just not use
Mhm.
social media. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, how do you reach people? And really, it's just reaching people is like connecting. Well, time out a second. That'll mess up a podcast, won't it? Hey, come lay down. Come lay down. Hush. I guess you can edit this part out.
We'll keep it
Hush.
ever. Nothing's perfect. This is real, and
That's
I
true.
rarely have to edit anything because I want people to feel like they're just sitting in the living room with us.
Well,
And
now they're just
happy.
wrestling. So
Yeah,
this is like it's like my toddlers. But what I was gonna say before all of that was to your point, like um, I haven't posted in hardly forever. I use stories and I post to Facebook. I hadn't been on TikTok ever
me either.
uh,
I
for for
tried. The
for
first
all that it
video
is.
me and Tater made, we were on our way to Honey Break, and we're like, oh my gosh, Tater's first trip to Honey Break. We're so excited, blah, blah, blah. We get in jail, and we're just talking about going hunting and
Yeah, see
the
that kind of
dove
stuff. It's like,
season and stuff, and we're like, we're just going to shoot doves and teal in Louisiana, and why are we in trouble?
right, and so for me, I've rarely had any activists or anything like try to blow up. There was a painting I did of a black lab. I'm actually working on another black lab with a duck in a a harvested mallard, right? And it went to this awesome couple. It was like a wedding gift from the father to the bride and groom. It's such a cool backstory on that. Anyway, how that got purchased and all that. But when I posted it years and years ago, this person just hammered me like talking about how disgusting it was, and they thought it was blood. It was like the mallard. It was like the mallard breast, feathers that was just ruffled in the painting. It wasn't even blood. I wasn't painting blood in there. It was like just the siennas and the colors and all of that. And thank the Lord, my following went in and just like
But you're
was not
back.
even mean,
Yeah,
but got my back,
yeah,
comment after comment after comment. And I love that. I don't love the fact that well, I used to complain, right? I used to complain that, man, to be a successful artist, you got to spend 3 times as long lighting everything right, recording everything, making content, making content, making content, making content. But I've started to shift that mentality. I've got a bunch of backlog, kind of like you, where I've got this work. I need to show people what it is. But I got to that point, like, why? Why does anybody even care? Does
yeah.
people want
Me
to
too. I'm like, why
process?
do people care what I'm doing today?
But then I think the Lord has changed my mentality. Like I'm seeing some of these younger artists that are in the same field as me doing great content, and you can either get discouraged and be like, well, I can't compete with that, or you can say, well, I'm doing me, and it's a free opportunity to show people what I do, and no hating on an accountant, but an accountant isn't posting their day to day like office computer work, right? It's just not. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a privilege to kind of say like, hey, here's something that I'm putting back into the world, and I've thought about that. Like, okay, I'm an artist, I'm a dad. Who am I? Like, what is all this for, and all of that. But for people who enjoy, I like looking at other artists' work. I love seeing other creatives. I love seeing
yeah.
interior design, landscape design, and architecture, and I love seeing how people are coming up with this stuff. And so, I,
Inspiration. I cannot tell you how many other like files I have of projects that were coming up that I'm like, oh my God, that is so perfect. How can I incorporate that? And then on the flip side, for me, which, you did name that you're a dad, but you always put that you're a creative first. For me, I got to thinking about how many memes do some of my girlfriends, especially the really funny ones, share with me about how our whole relationship is centered around us sending 20 memes back and forth
yeah,
and we're
yeah,
not even talking. And I was like, okay, that's when
it's a love
social
language, right?
media tweaked for me. And it was like, if I can be somebody's online bestie that says, man, my day is better because I don't feel alone. I have found somebody that understands where I am in this season of life and is willing to take my hand through social media and get me through it. And and make it mean something, like that I didn't go through this for nothing. And so I
Yeah.
was like, okay. And you have seen it, because I mean, you've even told me the shift in my content, my messaging. It's
Hmm.
so different.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Hmm.
here's the other thing that you and I both fell into the trap. It was like, what's the hole in the industry that we can fill, instead of who are we and what are we supposed to give?
Yes. And because, okay, look, that is the, I just think our whole world is being trained algorithmically anyway. And so we are just being trained to be like, okay, I got to be my own type of an influencer in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've found myself, it's supposed to be self-deprecating, but like I've posted myself out in the field with like this old vintage like Sears Roebuck vest and wax, or it's not, it's just canvas jacket, it's not even waxed. This thing's stiff as a board. For some reason, it's like tailored to my size. This thing is so old. I found it in North Carolina in a thrift shop. And I'm sitting there like, showing it off. I'm doing this thing and I'm like, what am I doing right now? People got the joke, like that I was, showing the like outfit of the day out in the field with two retired
I
sporting
missed that
dogs.
one.
But yeah, well, it was a story, right? I didn't like post it for all time, but
Bring
it's one of
it
those things.
back.
I just for fun, I should do the outfit of the day. But my point being, like, I was I was making light of it, but we are all too often, I think, trying to catch a trend. And honestly, I'll go back to say, like, I think some of this abstract art, I think some of the sadness of a sterile building, I think, or like the like with no impression, nothing makes you stop and slow down. And that's what art does for me.
Gosh.
It makes me stop and slow down what I'm doing. It makes my
Yeah.
brain stop and slow down. It makes my heart consider details that like when I
Live
started
in the
out, right?
moment. Like, to live in the
Yeah.
moment.
But even something, okay, I learned about this from an art gallery in New Orleans one time. We went in and there was these grand paintings and they were fairly abstract. This famous artist in his own right, I guess, and his were like 12 feet tall, these repeated, brush strokes and whatever. And then over on this one wall, there was something like literally maybe 3 inches by 3 inches square. And so I go all the way up to it. And I mean, I'm talking like you're right up in it, because the artist had used literally taken one of their eyelashes, somehow glued it to the end of a stick and made that a paintbrush, one eyelash, and had painted these little almost like pop art cartoonish style
That just
outlines.
sounds
Yeah,
a little
like
weird.
trust me. What I turned around and said, like, this is like some of the smallest art I've ever seen. And I'm talking like the walls that they displayed them on were like grand 14-foot ceilings or something like that. So it made it all the more small. But what she told me was the curator was like, this artist intentionally did this, knowing that they would be displayed here, so that you have to come up close. You have to get intimate with it. You have to like come see. You have to stop. You can't just stand back and be an introvert and be like, you actually got to go get up in it and you
Yeah.
got to go see it. And I think sometimes some of these artists of old did things that need to be more celebrated, in that they didn't just paint realism. They didn't just paint a morning or an afternoon hunt. They didn't, like, Eldridge Hardy is one of my kind of like heroes, who's since passed. And I've got his book and I reference it all the time. One of his
Mhm.
books I reference all the time, because it's just like it shows some of his sketches and some of his process. But where I'm going with this is that oftentimes, social media, our life,
Takes out the
our
authenticity.
business, yeah, our
Yeah.
busyness of life, our schedules, our whatever, like, art for me makes me stop. And so if I can paint something for someone that it's in the corner, I don't even care if it's in their restroom, as for
Yeah.
guest,
Oh, I
but
love a crazy powder room that is just
yeah, where the
over the.
powder room has
Yes.
got, something for you to stare at while you wash your hands, or whatever, and you're there and you're seeing something, and it causes you to just, like, you see the eyes, or you see the expression of a dog, or you see the context, and then you go ask, hey, tell me. I can't tell you how many times people tell me that they found my artwork because the person before them gave them the story of the dog,
The
but then who
story
I
like that.
the
Okay,
story. It's storytelling. It's
there's a
storytelling.
story about me. I'm going to oust myself in judgment that I've had in the past. Okay, so back in the day when we were all battling for our social media numbers and the industry created so much competition with the women, and then they would always put me on the spot about the huntress. Like, what's your opinion about huntress? And I'm like, oh my God, I hunt with the guys. Like, what are you even talking about? Have you ever seen me in a bikini with my gun? No, and you're not going to, because my dog can run circles around most people and I'm for real, right? So
Yeah.
I literally tried to submerge myself in the part of the industry that had nothing to do with that for
Yeah.
so long, because I hated the conflict that the industry was creating with women.
Yeah.
And at my age now, we get so many adult women that say, I don't even want to have female friends. Like, I don't have female friends. I hang out with the boys. And I look back and I'm like, man, we have so much to repair with women in the outdoors, which is my new future series because it hit so hard at home with me. So here is a testimony of how I have seen through different eyes because of this. It wasn't a waiting season. It was a rebuilding season that I just went through. So back in the day, Katie Van Slyke like came out and was like really big in hunting, and she's young enough to be my kid, I'm pretty sure. And so I hated how, like, I know that she started doing all of her makeup tutorials like in her closet, and I'm like, the industry was like judging people if you went into the field and you looked like a chick, and then you were like, are you legit? And
Yeah.
and there was just all these hoops that you had to go through. It was like, well, who are we supposed to be? Katie's growing like wildfire and she's putting on fake eyelashes, and I'm over here living like I am shopping on my grandpa's closet, not even worried about what the new trends are and doing all this stuff, and so it created like this conflict. Well, her and some other girl, I don't remember who it was, but I remember they got put on a cover of a magazine. And they were like the first. Do you probably know more of this because I wasn't into all the media?
No, I know none of it. That's why
Okay.
I'm smiling. I'm pretending like I know. I'm following you.
Okay. Well, long story
I
short,
want
it
everybody
comes
to
back.
think
So
my smile is naivete. I'm just listening
here
now.
I am, like,
I want to know about
old.
it.
I'm older. When I started, like, I didn't pick up a shotgun until I was 35. So I'm looking at these young girls getting paraded on the cover of this magazine. They were the first people, like humans, to ever be the cover of this cover of the magazine ever. And they put these two young girls in there, and they're like showcasing the huntress thing that's so controversial. And they get butchered by the industry, like the hardcore guys that you want to have
Yeah.
your back.
Yeah.
They butcher them. And I'm sitting here saying, on one side of me, thank God that somebody's standing up for truth. But on the other side, as a mom of two girls, I'm like, why didn't
Yeah.
somebody protect them? Why didn't somebody
Right.
protect them, right? Like, they just got used. Okay, so full circle.
They
That
did.
was forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, but I've never met Katie, but I've like seen her in passing at horse shows when JC was riding and stuff. She now is like mega huge in the horse world and has bought this huge successful, like, super famous stud horse and has her own horse farm. She's back to showing. She's showing the same things that we were involved with. And she did a post within the last few weeks, and she talked about authenticity, and it was like some trend that I totally missed. I only saw her video of it, about how she built her platform, how she went through this hunting world, but how she is like authentically herself right
Yeah.
now with her farm life. And you can just see the joy on her. I don't miss her posts. Like, I'm such a fangirl of her with her horses and the minis and all the thing that she's doing. And I can totally relate to it because we lived that life behind the scenes for a
Yeah.
long time. And
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. I get how we did the same thing. You and I both did. We were like, okay, there's a hole in the industry right here. Let us fill that. We'll have our place, instead of being exactly who we are. And she got lucky, and she didn't get targeted during all that social media. She has massive following. But I tell you what, she brings so much joy in where she is right now and the fact that she owned it. I saved that post. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again now. And
Yeah, I'd like for you to show me sometime if we had like Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn's
no, well, I
he
mean,
could flash it up on the screen for us. But hey, I have a question for you in that same vein because
okay.
because I don't want to forget. I've on your other podcasts in
Hmm.
the past you've mentioned multiple times that women are the fastest growing demographic in the hunting world, but they're also the first to fall off. And so I've been thinking about you in that regard, and I wonder if that plays into it,
It
right? Like
did.
the objectivity of I mean, I even have to train my algorithm. Like if my kids are around, I mean, just full on Instagram wants for men that just wants to like just send you all these like fishing girls off the back of boats and um I'm not here to
Corruption,
like
like,
criticize those women, but listening to you talk about that, it seems like it's not as beneficial to the industry of women outdoors women in general where because it creates a crisis, right? It creates a
okay,
crisis
think
of
about it like this. It does create conflict between women. It spotlights insecurity. Okay, you are a well-known artist. Do you in the outdoor space, okay? Do you think the majority of your clients are going to be the young kids that are so popular that are running the industry with all their big following, or is it going to be the older crowd who are facing retirement, living their best life, traveling the world, um, not giving a flying flip about popularity on social media? It's like,
yeah, that's cool.
what's going on? Like, who's really going to push profits?
Yeah, I mean, just to answer that question, I mean, honestly, my buying power is typically women. I'd say about 70% women to 30% men, and they're buying for either their family or their husband or their boyfriend, the
What
significant other.
age bracket would you say that is?
It's definitely in the late 20s all the way to 60s and 70s, and I'll tell you, like, and certainly the majority is my age range following me. But
So we'll
you know,
say
I've had
40s plus is
yeah,
really your
I'd
target
say
market.
yeah, I'd say so. Now, to that credit, right? Like as I've grown and the demand in my work, and as I've cultivated my brand, I mean, there are people that feel priced out at that younger age. They like my work, and I love that. See, here's where I was going to go with it earlier was to talk about like the youth and all that, but like the sporting art industry um, does have a big age gap. It has
Yeah.
a very big age gap, and people were pointing that out to me. So not even so much like filling a gap on social media, but the idea that sporting art at one point had started to just, I guess, wind up either in collections or in like a thrift store, right? And people were getting rid of their um, and not getting rid of, but like younger audiences weren't appreciating it quite as much. And so then, like to your point, my audience became collectors who are financially at a place and who have an appreciation for the outdoors over, you know, a generation of their grandfathers and their fathers and their grandmothers and you know, and and there. I think what's interesting to me is that um, the women who hunt with their husbands. Um, are usually the ones who draw their husbands into my work. Um, if I'm set up at a game fair next to antique shotguns, it's usually the wives that circle the husband's back after they've looked at collecting another shotgun. If we're talking if we're if we're being honest, but honestly, it's the men who tell me the stories of the dogs. It's the men who connect with me because then they find out who I am. Like
Mhm.
that I'm not in some corporate office. I'm not some subdivision kid. I grew up in a
But
subdivision, but
here's
we
the
grew up,
difference.
like
The kids
knowing that
aren't the problem. The kids are
no.
being misled and being rewarded for becoming something that doesn't create legacy or tradition. And so for me, it was like when I was talking about Katie, I have no doubt that she doesn't still hunt. Like, I'm certain that she is a
Yeah.
hunter at heart.
Yeah.
But her heart for her platform is so heavily farm based because that's who her heart really is. And I loved that she owned that and that she
Hmm.
told that story because
Yeah.
I know she has huge influence. And I'm like, I hope that the young girls, number one, could see through the messaging to be like, just start being authentically you instead of what gets you attention. Because I mean,
Yes.
she never made a bad mistake, but you can easily make a mistake, and it's like you can't come back from that and create something. Like, my whole thing is, I want girls to create something that they don't need social media to build on, right? Like, they need a skill set that brings value to the industry, that makes space for them, not when they're young and beautiful, but when they're aged with wisdom. And
Yeah.
so that has been my message. It's like,
There's a lot of value. A lot of
there's so
value.
much value, and I've learned so much from being involved with SCI, which tends to be an older crowd. And I'm like, these women are powerhouse, firecracker, entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
making things happen, and they
And they're
may not even be
surrounding
on social
themselves with
media.
others like that. They're surrounding themselves with others that are like-minded. So that's why I love talking with you. I love talking with those types of people in the industry because there's a lot of questions I always have for people. I always want to pick their brains on things and see like what it is when they're comfortable, and not to ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? I
Yeah,
hate that question. It's
right,
it's
right.
like what keeps you busy, what keeps you passionate, what
Yeah,
keeps you what
living
wakes you
your
up in the
best life.
morning.
So for
Yeah.
you, it's like, okay, you don't need to start out because when you started out as an artist young, whatever the trend was, you had to create skill sets and a reputation that you could do for the longevity of your career. So when you are an older artist, that you're in high demand because you've always been true to yourself. And I think that's where the women get lost, is that they want to be involved in the industry. I have no doubt. I mean, there's always people with, unethical intentions, but overall, the outdoors is an enjoyable place. I just wished that the industry made space for the women with wisdom to create a mentorship and guide the younger girls in a direction that created longevity for their career. Um, I mean, that's really where my heart is, because I skipped all that because I started when I was older and I had two girls, so I mean, I definitely looked a lot better when I started than I do now. So I guess I could have been, in
We all
my
do,
cutoff and stuff.
we all do. Well, that's what's so
I
funny.
wouldn't do that now, but
Yeah, my
that
younger
was just my
son.
whole
Oh, go
thing.
ahead.
It's
Sorry.
like, I hope that we have an industry full of beautiful women and stuff, but I also want them to lead with integrity. And I just feel
Hmm.
like that message is lost. Um, and a lot of girls, are just put in a position and they're like, I want to make it big. And they may even struggle with it. I don't know. I have never had a young girl come out and talk about it, but that's why Katie's video meant so much to me, was because she talked about how her life now means so much to her, and it is not really how she
That's
got
cool.
started. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, I just have kudos to her. I know that she has thousands and thousands and thousands of views, probably hundreds of thousands of views on every post, but I try to always show her my support. Even if I don't even have time to watch all her whole video, I'm gonna like it because I'm like, I have so much respect for her messaging. And
That's
it's
cool.
like, you are a rock star entrepreneur creating legacy, taking and appreciating what came before you to build on that. That is
Hmm.
all we could have ever asked for with women. And if we have that um, as a priority, and if that's the attitude that gets celebrated, we will see a change. We will see women staying. We will see room for them. And so, kudos to Katie
Yeah.
Van Slyke. And if you love horses, please follow her.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Good shout out. And I mean, that's the thing, that even with uh, my now at this point 13-year-old son, he's got his outdoor YouTube channel and loves fishing and loves hunting. Has like he sets his goals this year he's been training. We got him his first compound bow for Christmas, and he wants to take his first buck. He wants to harvest his first buck with a bow this year. And my other son is wildly talented and extremely driven and focused on tennis. And um, those two very different focuses and interests. It's I just want them to be themselves, right? I don't want them to burn out or feel like. But John Henry, my oldest, his account, um, he is doing what he wants, which is interesting, right? Like I've taught him how the basics of movie editing and video editing. He has really run with it. And then, instead of him being driven by likes and views, I've told him, hey, think about what you enjoy about the most impressive, YouTube accounts, whatever. Don't try to copy them, be yourself, but see what they're doing and how the video, like see
Perfect your
their
craft.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like that. I do think that there's a perspective that I wish more women had, even in the industry. I love that your take on that because I find that's really balanced, right? Because everybody wants, if they're going to put it out there, they hope that there's attention behind it, that there's traction behind it. Um,
That their
I
effort is seen. And I don't live in a world where everybody gets a trophy, but I
right,
do believe if
right.
you are authentically yourself, everyone wins.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. For example, like I can't go get. There's a lot of female artists out there on social media who get in a sports bra and bike shorts or leggings and just paint. They'll squat down to get the paint on the bottom of the canvas that's on the ground, or their angles are um, really, that's not going to be my weapon of attention, right? Like
Yeah.
I have to just paint. I'm not going to go paint shirtless. I'm not going to go do certain things that gain me attention, right? Like that wouldn't gain attention anyway. My point being is just the idea of being like, well, here's my point of view, right? Like here's where I really am. Here's where I'm, and that's what this podcast. Like I agreed to come to do it with you because um, you know, some of the best advice I ever got was um from somebody that told me like people are not buying your artwork, they're buying you. They there's plenty of space in the industry
They
for.
connected with you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of space for all these different artists, and obviously social media exploded that and showed you how many people that you got to like you either consider it competing, or you just say like, hey, there's enough space, there's
We
enough
all can
out.
complement each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for me, it's like, okay, I have I have a part in God's story. I'm in a certain chapter of it. I went through a tough chapter. I'm closing like that. That is now flipping over. I'm back. Feel like I didn't even respond well to my customers back then. I took far too long on projects. I overanalyzed them. I doubted myself. I did all these things, and so like I'm willing to say it now because if I hide that part of it, it goes unanswered. It's not to like give people a sob story or to make myself sound like I was just wandering, but I was floundering. I'll admit that, and I think now to be able, like you're saying, be on the other side of it, you can go and say like, "Hey, I'm having newfound love and appreciation for this. I have a newfound appreciation for the support of my customers and like who does follow me and who is interested in my perspective, and then to give of myself later and say like, hey, yeah, if there is somebody out there who's like, man, I'm hitting this wall, I'm hitting this even just this like creative mental block, or I'm having
Yeah.
like imposter syndrome, right? I mean, all of us go through a lot of very different things in life. And a lot of it goes silently, and we all try to like polish it online and make it look like something's not happening if something is. And so I'm gracious. I mean, I'm grateful for the friends of mine and family in the background who have kind of lifted me up while things were like not perfect, not polished.
Right.
But man, I'll tell you, it is interesting. The best accounts that I follow like regularly are usually the ones who have that grit to them and the people that are true to themselves. And um
And it takes time.
it does.
That's something that you grow into, but I will tell you what. taking that first step is so liberating, to be able to own your life and own your story. And there's nothing more rewarding that I've experienced in the outdoors than to have parents come up and say, my kids will never forget you coming to a 4-H shoot and speaking life into them or something. And the women that come to me, I said, I don't care if you come for one lesson or 100. When you leave, I want to make sure that you take some type of confidence with you that will activate you in every part of your life from just a shotgun lesson. It can be so much more than that. And I do feel that your storytelling through your artwork will be lasting. And I love the fact that you invest so much in people's stories to keep them alive through their family, through, future generations. And hopefully that is a treasure that will be passed down. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming, and
yes,
I think that this episode's probably the longest I've ever had. We could probably talk the rest of the afternoon, so part 2 definitely has to happen.
I was about to say we'll put a pin in it, and we'll pick up wherever. Yeah, because I'd love to do it again with you.
So all you guys that are still listening, thank you for holding on to the end of it. We would love to hear from you. If there is a thought, or if you need to just share your heart, you can always find Andrew at Andrew Lee Designs on Instagram, and I'm Anna V Outdoors _ since I can't get my account back. But yeah, you've been enlightening to me, and I appreciate you just being vulnerable through your situation.
Yeah.
Because even though I came out on the other side of mine, I even feel like I can own that season more because you helped me talk my way through it. So
cool. Thanks. I mean, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for everybody for listening. That's fun. Thanks for getting me out of my comfort zone.
The dawn's finally breaking as I leave this sleepy town. The sun is slowly rising and the fog is on the ground.